The Alliance to End Hunger is an organization that was formed out of Bread for the World, and it's made up of the faith community, our hunger organizations, nonprofits, corporations. We believe that to solve the hunger problem, you got to bring everybody to the table. It's not just government. Everybody's got to be involved. There's 25,000 people that are going to die today in the world, and they're going to die of hunger and hunger-related diseases. There's at least 1 billion people that are malnourished. There's 2.5 billion people in the world that live on less than $2 a day. And in our own country, there are 50 million people, 50 million Americans that are going to bed hungry at some time during the month, maybe 2 or 3 days. And these are working mothers, these are senior citizens, these are children, and it hasn't been that way since 1960. A lot of members of Congress have never talked or met these kind of people, so they're not educated to the point where they understand that this is really going on. So part of my job and part of the FAST job, I think, is to educate. I was in Congress for 24 years, and you know, when you cut the budget, you should put everything on the table. Nothing should be sacred. And there is fat, and there are programs that can be cut and programs that can be reformed. And cutting the budget on the backs of poor people should never be an option. The hunger programs in America, the school lunch, the school breakfast programs, the WIC program, the senior citizen feeding programs, food banks and soup kitchens, 93% of that, this is an interesting statistic, 93% of that is paid for by the government. 7% is paid for by the faith community and everybody else, individuals in food banks and soup kitchens. We can do more than 7%. This is ridiculous. But they haven't. And they haven't up until now. And that's why the government had to step in and do these programs. I think the government would like to do a lot less, and the faith community should pick up more. It's not a righteous nation if you cut the least of these, if you cut the poorest of the poor. That's why a lot of people of faith have come together, people of conscience, people across the country and in other nations are fasting.
In the richest and most powerful country in the world, no one should be hungry. We shouldn't have to fast to try to raise the level of awareness with regard to what is taking place in Washington, D.C.
I think, you know, fasting and praying are the two strongest disciplines that one can do in our faith. And I think that people realize when they approach God, and when they approach God with the right heart, I think God responds. And I think people are moved by not only the moral argument, but I think they're moved by the righteousness of the act itself. And it's not only a public fast, but it's also a private fast too, because there's an intimacy when you fast like this with God.